Hello, this is Digital Academy. My name is Grant. In today's lesson, we are going to be looking at the difference between a DIV element and a SPAN element. A DIV element simply stands for division. Now, a DIV element is a block element. They hold contents in boxes and they grow with the contents. DIV element takes up the whole horizontal space in your web page or in your workspace. Why a SPAN are inline elements? SPAN are just there to style important words. I'm going to show you an example of what I mean. Here, let's define a SPAN element. Let's say, this is one of the simplest topic in HTML. So this is one of the simplest topic in HTML. Also, let's define. Also define the DIV. I'm just going to copy this and I will impute it here. All right, let's view this on our browser and let's see how it looks like. Here on our browser, you'll find out that you will not actually see any difference in both elements. So what we're going to do is that we are going to define the style. So let's style this. Let's style it. Let's say style. Now let's style our span first. Now let's give our span a background color. Let's say a background color of also a background color of yellow. A background color of yellow. Also, let's define our DIV. Define our div, and let's give our div a background color. A background color of blue. Now let's view this on our browser. Now you can see what I was talking about. This blue background is the DIV, and you can see how it took over the whole horizontal space. Meanwhile, the span element will only take as much space as the content imputed in it. All right. This is the difference. Now let's still see. Let's do this. Let's duplicate the documents and see the contents and see how it appears. Let's want to see why DIV, the div is a block element, why the span is an inline element. All right. And the div let's save this and see how it looks like. Let's see how it looks like on our browser. You can see that the span the weights are just in one line. Meanwhile, the div are segmented in different columns, but they're in block form. Let's break this. So this is a simple example of a DIV element and a SPAN element. You can see that this is one of the simplest topic in HTML. And this for the SPAN element, it continued. It's just in line. Meanwhile, DIV will segment, will break its content and block them, boxing them. So this is just the difference between a DIV element and a SPAN element. And again, you can actually impute a SPAN element inside of a div element, but you cannot put a div element inside of a SPAN element. A div element is is a big container, it's a big container, so it can actually contain a SPAN element. Let's say, for example, let's say this is one of the let's say most. This most, let's span this most, and let's see how it's going to appear on our browser. Now you can see that, you can see the yellow background here, the most inside of the div element, but you cannot put a div element inside of a SPAN element. So these are basically the difference between both of them. I'll see you in my next class.